Welcome to another lesson. In today's lesson, we'll be talking about flutes on end mills. Just a quick disclaimer, every job and scenario is different, so you must use caution. These are just general guidelines for you to work off of. Flutes, they allow the material a way out. In case you're not familiar with what a flute is, if you look where this highlighter is, probably should use a different color. I'll switch to black here. There we go. That is what your flute would be. If you look where the highlighter is now, that is your cutting edge on the end mill. If you look to the picture to the right there, where the highlighter is drawing now, that would be your, those would be your flutes. Why flute selection matters? Well, tools with more flutes will generally have a stronger core. A strong core allows you to work on harder materials more effectively. So for the core here, if you look to the picture on the bottom here, and we're going to go to the 2-flute mill on the left. If you see where my highlighter is here, I'm about to start drawing, you can see what the core is. So that is rather a small core. But if you go to the picture all the way to the right here, the mill, the 8-flute mill, that is pretty large core there because there's more flutes, causing that mill to be a lot stronger than the 2-flute mill. The more flutes you have, the less chip space you have as well. So if you look to the 2-flute mill, you can see you have a lot of chip space there, allowing the chips to evacuate the tooling area or your part a lot easier, and also allowing coolant to get down through to your workpiece and do what coolant does. But if you look to the 8-flute mill, you can see that there is not a lot of chip space there between each flute. A lot of times you'll see 2-flute mills used for machining aluminum and other non-ferrous materials. Any material that isn't to be considered a hard material. With softer materials, you can move at a faster feed rate and make bigger cuts. Bigger cuts and fast feed rates make bigger chips, and that is why 2-flutes is a good choice when milling aluminum. So, yeah, like when you have softer materials like aluminum, plastic, you can use less flutes and take a lot bigger cuts. But yeah, when you have harder material, you want to generally have more flutes to take away those materials and take not as big of cuts. You'll tend to see more flutes on ferrous and harder materials. This is due to the fact you want a stronger core tool. Your feed rates will be slower when working on harder materials, making your chips smaller. Lower flute counts are desirable for roughing because it allows you to take bigger cuts and not have to worry about the chip clearance. Higher flute counts are great for finishing. Generally, on a finished pass, you'll take a small cut and not remove much material. Generally, the more flutes you have, the faster the feed rate you can move because each flute is removing material. So for that last bullet point there, for each flute is removing material. So if you have a 2-flute end mill, each flute is responsible for 50% of the material it is removing. You go to a 3-flute end mill, each flute is responsible for removing 33% of the material. And same thing if you go up to 4, the 25%. So you're putting less stress on each flute the more flutes you actually have. Thanks for watching. It's a quick, short video, nothing too much about it, but flutes, it does play a big role in machining, especially when it comes down to finishing, speed, what material you're working on, something to take in consideration. If you have any more questions about flutes, comment on the video, message me. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Other than that, have a great rest of your day.